I kept a little bird at home for 2 years, and my husband's white moonlight returned to the country. The good news is that I have made enough money. The bad news is that I am pregnant. William, who never picks me up at the airport, appeared at the airport and didn't come home all night. Mother-in-law is very happy. She dug up the roses I planted and gave way to her preferred daughter-in-law from the prestigious school. She scolded me for being delicate and hard to raise, having no value except for my face, and even worrying that having a son would lower their IQ because of me. I asked William if he likes children. He coldly shook his head. All right. If my baby isn't welcome, then I'll raise it myself. Anyway, my sister has money. After signing the divorce agreement, I took my baby to a bar for prenatal education. When I went on stage to liven up for the most handsome rapper, a group of men in black clothes blocked the entire venue. Their boss with an angry face pinned me in front of the Maybach. Early in the morning, I heard the sound of a bulldozer in the garden. I leaned out the window to take a look. Oh my God, mother-in-law brought in a big machine and buried my rose Princess Samantha, which I had planted. She shouted loudly, fearing that I wouldn't hear. Anna is back. Get rid of the bad luck. I want to plant her favorite roses. Anna is William's white moonlight. A young lady who possesses both talent and family background. Back then, she went abroad resolutely to further her studies. This allowed me to pick up William, who is handsome, rich, and good in bed. I owe her a lot. Mother-in-law doesn't see it that way. After married to William for nearly 2 years, she still thinks I'm just a decoration. Apart from my beautiful and bright face, I'm worthless. William is very career-oriented and is constantly traveling around the world for work. He turns a blind eye to his mother's challenges and schemes. Luckily, William's grandmother protected me before she passed away, teaching me to spend men's money when nothing is wrong. I was filial, beautiful, and obedient, and entered the circle of wealthy and famous women, often going shopping with them and splurging money. When mother-in-law saw me going downstairs with a limited edition Hermes, she couldn't contain her anger. Kristen, last month you used my son's card to buy jewelry. The month before that you conned him into buying you an antique. Your family is raising you like a prostitute. Can't you at least have the decency not to be a vampire? The words were harsh but true. The Hilton's family in Washington have a prestigious reputation, but my parents are deceased, so I can only follow my cousin's arrangements. William is the best marriage I can aspire to. But a few days ago, I found a box of Anna's photos in the study. I counted them. There were a total of 520. William has never taken a picture with me. His phone doesn't even have a single photo of us together. It dawned on me that mother-in-law was right in thinking that William still likes Anna. I retched, feeling like throwing up. Mother-in-law became even more angry. You, a country bumpkin from the outside, dare to feel disgusted by what I say? Anna is back. Don't tell me you want to fake a pregnancy to compete for attention. I smirked. Don't watch too much soap opera. It's bad for your brain. Even if you have a son, William won't like him. A brainless waste of space, only capable of affecting the intelligence of my grandson. Mother-in-law, take the time to clean your teeth. Otherwise, the words you speak will stink. She was furious. I fell into contemplation. At the beginning of our marriage, I asked William if he liked children. He coldly shook his head. Later on, every time we went to bed, precautions were taken very seriously. It turns out, he didn't not want children, he just didn't want mine. I caressed my flat belly, feeling a bit scared. Would a child not liked by their father and grandmother be able to stay? Plastic flower sister Caitlin called. Babe, did you hear? Your husband went to the airport to pick up Anna. She sent a photo. William, tall and slender, was having a conversation with Anna, who was wearing sunglasses. I was stunned. William hadn't been home for almost half a month, but he had time to pick up white moonlight. The choice was clear. That night, there was a cruise ship party in Victoria Harbor. The news of Anna's return spread throughout the circle. I also saw it. Under the fireworks, Anna was wearing a designer off-the-shoulder dress, holding a champagne glass, standing in the spotlight, smiling brightly and boldly. William had always been low-key. No one dared to post his photos. However, next to Anna's solo photo, there was an expensive custom-made Little Prince watch. My heart skipped a beat. The owner of that watch, not long ago, came home half-drunk. After taking a bath, he grabbed my ankle and started kissing me. I was half asleep, pushing him away gently. But he hugged me with his warm body, his big hands grabbing my waist, and his delicate kisses completely engulfing me. A child conceived after drinking, William definitely wouldn't want that. Caitlin called again, angrily saying, "What was William thinking?" Anna says the party was his idea. You've been married to him for 2 years, didn't he miss any of your anniversaries? Could it be that he's the kind of domineering CEO who would say, "I can satisfy you with everything except love"? My eyes went black. Maybe you wanted to say, Kristen, don't forget your place, you're not qualified to give birth to children for me. My body shuddered. No, it can't be. The Hilton's family treats me as a marriage tool. I don't have parents, and now I don't even have a grandmother. With Anna back, William definitely won't let me give birth to a baby that's in the way. I went upstairs and opened the safe. Inside were many sapphires, emeralds, and gold bars. In addition to these, I cashed out a lot of money and stored it on a card that no one knew about, totaling over $1 billion. William is very generous. If we get divorced without the company's shares, he shouldn't come after me for the expenses of the past 2 years to the Hilton's family. But if he dares, I rushed to the study and took photos of all the Anna pictures he had collected. If William dares to do something, I'll make it times 15 and sell them all to the gossip magazines. The next morning, I carried a suitcase filled with gems and gold bars downstairs. My mother-in-law appeared like an angry lioness. Are you going to Paris to shop or to the beach to sunbathe? I protected the suitcase like my own child. Mother-in-law, I know you don't like me, but you are so stingy that you can't bear to spend money to send me away. I am magnanimous and won't argue with you. The divorce agreement is ready. You inform William to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. My mother-in-law looked at me suspiciously. You love money so much. How can you bear to do this? When Anna comes back, your son will be even more absent. I don't want to occupy your family's resources. Just make sure the Geddes family doesn't cancel the cooperation with the Hilton's family. She happily called William on the phone. Son, Kristen is talking about divorce. William was about to hold a very important international conference, and he paused. What happened? She looked like she was scheming and flirting, definitely having an affair outside. William rubbed his temples. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law always didn't get along. Before, his grandmother was here to protect his young wife, but 6 months ago, the old lady passed away, and he was busy expanding into new markets, so busy that he didn't even have time to come home for dinner, let alone reconcile the conflicts between the two. Son, Kristen has signed the divorce agreement. Find time to get it done quickly. She whispered, laughing. Anna is single, just waiting for you. Don't disappoint her. How did it get to Anna? William decisively hung up the phone. He was a man who prioritized his career, and he would always put aside family matters. Moreover, now the Hilton's family depends on the Geddes family for support. If Kristen wants a divorce, her uncle from the Geddes family would be the first to object. I moved to a large apartment. This little nest was left to me by my grandmother. She pitied me for being orphaned, and my mother-in-law was so tight-fisted. If one day I argued with William, I would have a place to stay. I lay on the sofa, looking at my flat abdomen, thinking that once William signed the papers, I would leave. I was brought to Washington by my uncle when I was 10 years old. He raised me, and I married into it for 2 years, which was considered a repayment. The phone rang. It was not William. The workaholic probably didn't realize he was going to be a father until after his wife gave birth and completed her confinement. Kristen, are you okay? What could be wrong? Caitlin hesitated a bit before saying, Anna is going too far. Rumors are spreading on her behalf. As soon as she returns, they say you are a mistress who dared to take away her first love while the Washington heiress was abroad. They even cursed you as fake. The real one is back, and she will surely kick you out. It's all William's fault. He never threw a party for you, but he held a grand one for Anna's return. I clenched my phone, trying to sound casual. Maybe it's true. Can't be. Compromising so soon? Originally, William and I were in a business alliance. It was just that I fell for him while my wealthy father kept spending money. Can't help it, people are drawn to strength. He was good at business, willing to spend money on me, and his eyes were full of love when he kissed me. But he didn't want to have children with me. Reality hit me in a second. I ate downstairs and wandered around nearby to relax. The open-air bar was lively. There was said to be a slightly famous rapper there. How nice, I had wanted to be a singer when I was learning the piano. My uncle didn't allow it, saying that the children of the Hilton's family should not be in the public eye. When I came to Washington, I learned a lot of manners and social skills, but lost myself. I touched my flat belly. When the baby is born, I must let him do what he likes. The music started, and the crowd hummed along. The lively atmosphere made me feel like I had found the rare rebellious time of my youth. I really liked this feeling. A bit unrestrained, indulging in freedom. Unconsciously, I was pushed to the front of the stage. During the interactive session, the lead singer looked at me. Would this beautiful lady like to come on stage and sing together? I must say, I have a face that moves people. When I was studying, I was often approached by people. After marrying William, I deliberately kept my distance from the opposite sex and only interacted with wealthy women. But my mother-in-law still nagged at me. But I am divorced now. What's there to fear? I took the microphone, swaying my body gracefully to the music. The lead singer stared at me intently, reaching out to brush the stray hair from my face. A whistle blew. I hurriedly stepped back. As I stumbled, almost falling, a large hand held my waist tightly. Just about to break free, a group of black-clad bodyguards rushed to the front of the stage. With me as the center, they surrounded me in a circle. DJ got scared and played a song Stormy Weather. The feeling of an old gangster film emerged. Are they shooting a movie? Oh no, my makeup is all messed up, need to touch up before coming back. I stumbled a bit. The person approaching wasn't a famous director, but the father of the child in my belly. William's eyes were dark and cold, looking at me indifferently. The last time I saw that look was when he brought down a multinational corporation. In the shadow of the lights, William's handsome profile looked distant and cold. His presence was very strong. Passers-by wanted to take photos, but were stopped by the black-clad bodyguards. My heart started thumping. William was always low-key and cautious. Rarely did he attend events with me, only appearing in financial magazines. He was the mysterious benefactor at auctions. The lead singer didn't know who was in front of him, but understood the cues and let go of my hand with a broad smile. William's expression was as calm as water as he placed his hand on my waist, pulling me away. His palm was warm, the temperature I liked. In countless nights, it was these angular hands that ignited the flames in my body time and time again. Made me lose myself. Thinking of this made me feel wrong. William hadn't been home to sleep for almost half a month. He was a workaholic. Even at breakfast, his eyes were fixed on financial news. I couldn't understand, so I never caused a scene. But a man who would split a minute into half an hour had time to pick up Anna from the airport, throw parties on yachts for her. What did he take me for? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I couldn't help but blurt out, "I want a divorce from you." William was slightly taken aback. Then, he took a big step with his long legs, pressing me against the black Maybach. Why, this person was really annoying. He stayed out all night, put up photos of moonlight in the study, allowed my mother-in-law to bury my roses for the sake of the roses. How could he still have the nerve to ask why? But looking at William's stern face, I inexplicably thought of the serious headmaster during my school days. The words on the tip of my tongue choked in my throat. "You have never celebrated my birthday with me." He paused. "Just for this? No Valentine's Day, no anniversary, not even accompanying me to see fireworks at Victoria Harbour." My eyes flickered, making up a bunch of excuses. I couldn't bring myself to say Anna's name. It felt uncomfortable in my heart. Maybe I took Caitlin's words to heart. "Kristen, you and William are really just a marriage of convenience. He has no feelings for you. Everyone playing separately in this circle is normal. Who cares about the other's feelings? In a man's heart, only those who are not loved are considered the third party." I didn't understand the way she did. But why was I so weak? Liking a man who didn't smile much in bed, nor say sweet words. Tears flowed unconsciously. William reached out to wipe them away, but I turned my head to avoid it. The phone rang. He used his magnetic voice to communicate with a big client. It was an urgent call. William had just finished a meeting and was supposed to take a night flight to discuss a big project in the UK. But upon leaving the company, the vice president informed him that his wife had run off from the home garden celebration, taking her luggage with her. William knew his little wife was a bit delicate. When upset, she would hide away and cry by herself. Those big, wet eyes looked so pitiful. But mentioning divorce was a first. He calculated the timing and caught up with me. After stuttering for a while, I gave out a ridiculous breakup excuse. William glanced at his watch and softened his tone. "Whatever it is, let's talk about it when I come back." He waved to have the bodyguard send me back. I refused. The villa's garden had just been planted with roses. Looking sickening, I walked into the slightly chilly night in a thin blue dress. William's brows furrowed. Looking in the direction of where Grandma had sent him, he got into the Maybach and left. The phone rang incessantly early in the morning. I had a sleepless night and my head was pounding. It was my uncle calling. His voice was clearly angry. "Kristen, you are William's wife. How could you be seen hugging and embracing another man in public? Did it really happen?" He sent me a video clip. Last night. While singing on stage, the lead singer kept looking at me with a suggestive look. When I almost stumbled, his hand rested on my waist. My heart skipped a beat. I'm not a big star, how come I coincidentally got captured on camera? And didn't William instruct the bodyguard to stop it? Or was it just for show to make me look bad? Is he planning to give me the blame of having an affair, so that Anna can openly become the next Mrs. William? Uncle sighed. "Kristen, our two families are in a business alliance." In these past years, after William resolved the major issues within the Geddes family, the development has surpassed that of the Hiltons family by far. William is indeed outstanding. 3 years older than me, he has always been a prominent figure in school. At the age of 20, when the deceased grandfather left behind a mess, Grandma went against objections and had her grandson take over. William hadn't even graduated from a top 10 global school, yet he took over the family business. He proved to be sharp at a young age. Not only did he reverse the decline of the Geddes family, but he also earned the respect of the old heads of the company. Uncle asked again, "Your mother-in-law said you proposed the divorce. What's going on?" The two families have invested in several promising projects, and the profits haven't been received yet. Even if she causes trouble, you have to comply and endure it. Uncle's words were harsh, but that's what people from the Hiltons family should bear. If it weren't for me bringing you to Washington back then, where would you have grown up in luxury? Everything has a price, and even Uncle has to humbly ask for help in the business circle. He hesitated for a moment, then still spoke out, "Even if William has a woman on the side, you have to bear with it and focus on the bigger picture." The last sentence made tears of grievances swirl in my eyes. I've always understood. Businessmen prioritize profits. Uncle spent money on showing me fashion shows, buying jewelry, pampering me with luxury, without needing to do any household chores. It wasn't just a matter of fulfilling parental duties, it was also for long-term investments. After being in this circle for over 10 years, I obviously understand the meaning of this alliance. Uncle is the same. He also has a mistress a few years older than me. Auntie turned a blind eye. But when it comes to love, a lot of things become unclear. It makes people indecisive. Neither leaving nor staying seems right. As I hung up on Uncle's call, my headache worsened. Little did I know, Caitlin brought even more explosive news. "Baby, I heard that Anna went to England overnight." "What's that about?" William left in such a hurry. Was it for a rendezvous with his lover? My body was feeling increasingly unwell. Caitlin, indignant, said, "William hasn't accompanied you to any parties, many people don't even know you're his wife." But that night, he didn't show up in front of everyone, yet he lit fireworks at the harbor all night long to celebrate her return. It seems like he really doesn't love you. Caitlin knew how to pierce the heart. She made me see that William isn't someone who doesn't understand romance, he just didn't want to waste time on me. Caitlin continued cutting, "If he doesn't indulge you, how can your mother-in-law dare to mistreat you like this?" I squeezed my phone, feeling breathless. Sensing my off mood, Caitlin hurriedly said, "Baby, how about I take you to Lan Kwai Fong? Let's party all night tonight, and I'll introduce you to some new friends." If a man doesn't indulge, and his wife is at home every day, he would assume you have no romantic prospects left. Since childhood, I have been a good girl. Hilton's family warned me to avoid making mistakes, so as not to embarrass the family. At the age of 24, I had only been with William. I had only kissed and slept with him. He held me in his arms till morning. But Caitlin told me that people in our circle mock me as an antique vase from the Middle Ages. Never casually touch a man, always have a cold demeanor, show no interest at all. Come on, I know a handsome guy with a great physique, his health check report is very healthy, he will make sure you have no worries. If William is nocturnal with another woman, then tit for tat. Baby, you can't spend your whole life just kissing one man, the handsome guy will fulfill all your fantasies. Caitlin is usually into fun. But how could she encourage me to have an affair? My mind suddenly cleared a bit. No, I hate betrayal from others, but I cannot punish myself using someone else's mistakes. Early in the morning, I received 2 distressing phone calls, and I clearly felt very uncomfortable. After arriving at the private hospital for a checkup, I unexpectedly ran into a familiar face from the past. "Richard, is that you?" Meeting his tranquil, dark eyes, I was pleasantly surprised. "Kristen, it's been a long time," Richard said. He used to live next door to the Hiltons family and took good care of me. Especially when I first arrived in Washington, my accent and background were mocked by classmates, and Richard stood up for me. Later, despite his parents' objections, he gave up his business and went to study medicine. I never expected him to return to the country so soon. As Richard looked at the checkup report, he gently asked, "You're 4 weeks pregnant, why isn't your husband here with you?" I smiled faintly and shook my head, but my gaze lingered blankly outside the window. "He's with another woman." Richard could sense my heavy heart and reassured me, "No matter what happens, expectant mothers must be happy so that the baby can grow up happily." Will it be happy? I rubbed my flat belly and suddenly remembered, William doesn't like children. At that time, we had only been married for 3 months. My aunt called, subtly hinting, "Have a baby with William soon." I never had a close family. I didn't resist in my heart. That night, I gritted my teeth. For the first time, I took the initiative to hold William's neck and softly kissed his throat. He carried me to the bed and responded fiercely like a storm. But before completely sinking in, William got up and took something from the cabinet. My face blushed. With a hint of coquetry, I asked softly, "Don't you like babies?" William's expression was indifferent. He tore open the package, pressing me down again. At every subsequent family gathering, the Hilton's family urged us to have children. He would always say calmly, "Kristen is still young, no rush." Now that Anna has returned, my mother-in-law can't wait to kick me out. William surely doesn't want children. Seeing my face paler, Richard escorted me downstairs. "Don't worry, I will keep it a secret for now. But expectant mothers cannot go hungry. Let me accompany you to eat something." Thinking of the bonds of youth, my heart warmed slightly. Not sure if it was because I hadn't eaten breakfast, my head suddenly felt dizzy. Richard helped me slowly walk towards the restaurant. When the dizziness subsided, I turned around and felt like someone was taking a sneaky photo. But I couldn't find any trace. For 3 whole days, after I brought up the big issue of divorce, William didn't make a single call or send a text. It's as if he disappeared into outer space on a private jet. Does he disdain me, or is he confident that I won't leave? I tossed and turned. I clearly disliked how much he did for Anna. Yet, I couldn't help but remember the night he gently embraced me when he rarely returned home. I blushed with embarrassment, hitting the pillow. Caitlin called, "Sweetheart, don't stay at home every day. There's a new store opening, come and join the excitement." Richard had mentioned that expectant mothers should walk more. It's good for the baby. I quickly tidied up and barely put on any makeup. Caitlin linked arms with me, happily shopping around, and then headed towards the VIP room. Shopping is so much fun, let's have some afternoon tea to recharge. After a while, the door suddenly swung open. Several socialite women surrounded a woman entering the room. The surrounded woman was wearing a haute couture dress from Chanel and holding an Hermes handbag. I recognized her at a glance. She was Anna. Caitlin was surprised. "How did you know?" Because my husband's study is filled with hundreds of her pictures. Even if I had prosopagnosia, I wouldn't fail to recognize her. They were sitting not far away, chatting and drinking tea together. "Anna, you graduated from an Ivy League school and even got a master's degree in psychology. Can you give me some advice?" Anna works in venture capital overseas, and her time is precious. She doesn't have time to listen to you talk about heartbreak. That's right. We rely on our family's wealth, can't compare to Anna, who stands on her own. No wonder William from the Geddes family group can't get his sister out of his mind. "I heard the fireworks at the harbor that night were set off just for you." Anna smiled, pleased with the flattery. She neither confirmed nor denied it, but looked over here with a critical gaze. I wasn't wearing makeup, feeling somewhat weaker in presence. But my slender back remained straight. The socialite sitting next to me sneered, "It's a pity you were studying abroad back then, otherwise how could some unheard of person take your mother-in-law's position?" That person was Jenny. Back in high school, a boy she liked had confessed to me, hence her deep animosity towards me. As the conversation veered off, they talked amongst themselves as if I were invisible. "I've never seen Senior William bring Kristen to any parties, she's always alone." Nonsense. In my first year of marrying into the Geddes family, my grandmother introduced me to many socialite ladies, teaching me how to handle situations with ease. Clearly, they were just not influential enough to participate in purely entertaining events. Caitlin was cautiously observing my expression, as if afraid I would do something. But I remained aloof, showing off my ability to splash money around, without being conceited. You've helped many wealthy individuals abroad with their finances, engaging in risk investments. Your capabilities are evident. Being with an outstanding man is where true strength lies. Unlike Kristen, who is nothing without the Geddes family, she would be treated as a reject even by the Hilton's family. Anna, we support you in reclaiming Senior William. I felt a surge of emotions. William hasn't divorced yet, and he openly flirts with others. Is it because I'm useless that he doesn't take me seriously? I really want to fly to England and confront him. Stop it. I don't want William to misunderstand. Anna unconsciously adjusted her collar. Jenny exclaimed, "Oh my God. Isn't this the Rose Nebula necklace that fetched the highest price at the auction yesterday? How did it end up with you, Anna? Big sister Anna, did you come back from England overnight to receive this precious gift?" My uncle works at the auction house and secretly told me that a Mr. Joe had someone bid on this necklace worth $50 million, Jenny continued. I couldn't listen any longer. William is a jerk. I tried to help him save money, and he didn't even care enough to buy the gems in the safe, but instead splurged on such an expensive gift for another woman. I felt so wronged. I was so angry that my head was pounding, and tears were streaming down my face. Caitlin seemed to toss a pack of tissues into my purse, feeling upset. "Shall I take you somewhere else to relax?" I declined and hurried home to call William. After a long time, he finally answered. I don't know if I was drunk from crying, but I burped. "William, come back quickly, I want to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you." What are you causing a fuss about now? I'm not causing a fuss, I'm serious now. William's voice sounded tired. He had been working nonstop for 72 hours, severely lacking in sleep. His tone was less restrained than usual, with a hint of the boss reprimanding his employee. Kristen, where is your head at? How are you going to live after you leave me? The Hilton's family won't let you off, and you don't have the money to buy the jewels you like freely. It turns out that William, like those socialites, was thinking of me. With no parents to rely on, I was purely raised by the Hilton's family for a marriage alliance that I remembered in college. My uncle ignored my objections and sent me abroad to study art appreciation. My cousin had terrible grades, barely made it into a mediocre university, and still managed to get a job in the company. I also wanted to develop my career, but my uncle wouldn't allow it. As soon as I graduated, he pressured me into blind dates that they never thought about my future. What if I became a discarded wife of a wealthy family? It would be hard to find a regular job. That it was too sad. I couldn't help but retort, William, you've never said such serious things to me before. Sure enough, everything has changed now that Anna has returned. I hung up the phone. William wanted to ask more, but the assistant knocked on the door, reminding him that the CEO had arrived, and they were about to enter a new round of negotiations. He rubbed his forehead. Kristen was the hardest to appease when she was upset. If he said something to upset her again, he would have to deal with the mess his father left behind for a while. He would explain things when he returned to the country. Countless data fluttered in my mind. William forgot to ask for the rose starry necklace, which was taken by someone, whether it had been delivered to his wife. I cried on the bed hugging a pillow. My eyes occasionally glanced at my phone. My mind was half confused, half awake. Confused because I felt William was so heartless. I knew about Anna's existence, and he didn't explain anything. Awake because I was starting to regret a little that I used to be very considerate, never bothering William while he worked. This time, going abroad, I didn't pack his bags for him, didn't prepare his ties, and didn't place the rose-scented sachet next to his sleepwear. When William gets busy, he tends to lack sleep. He hugs me, smells the rose scent on my hair, and then sleeps deeper. Looking in the mirror, I shook my head, stop thinking about it. It's no good for the love-stricken mind. If William divorces me for Anna and wants the money back from our joint savings, I will end up homeless, won't I? No way. The sudden sense of crisis made me determined to find a job. Caitlin invited me out to a bar again. I don't know why, but she's been acting strange recently, always trying to set me up with younger guys. She says the best way to forget someone is to fall in love with someone else. But I don't want to. I can't betray the vows of love while my marriage still exists. As I aimlessly searched for direction, someone reached out to me. Miss, I'm a musician named Andy. I've heard your songs online. Your unique voice has attracted many fans who inquired about which company you belong to. Would you be interested in chatting? When I first came to Washington, I couldn't speak American English. My classmates mocked me for being a country bumpkin. I cried in secret. Later, I fell in love with English songs, practicing one song 1,000 times. My accent gradually improved. It was just that my uncle forbade me from stepping into the entertainment industry, so I gave up. Wearing sunglasses, I met Andy. I clearly told him that I wasn't suited to be in the public eye. Andy said it was fine. Many people overseas are willing to be anonymous singers. Their songs are niche and not mainstream. They don't make a fortune from holding concerts, but they have a devoted group of listeners. It's enough to sustain themselves. As we talked, I learned that Andy was once a rich young man. He had a falling out with his family to pursue music, but he was doing well now. He praised my voice for being soulful and moving. Finding a kindred spirit, I was happy that I spent a week in the recording studio, recorded 2 songs, sold the rights, and received my first earnings. To others in the industry, this might not seem like much. But to me, it was significant. It meant that my talent could be exchanged for something valuable. The annual charity banquet, Gathering of Beauties, has begun. I didn't want to go, but my grandmother used to do charity work every year, and I didn't want to stop her legacy of kindness. Upon arriving at the venue, my mother-in-law was also there. Her relationship with my grandmother had been very bad. In the past, whenever my grandmother showed up, she was not allowed to appear. Now, my mother-in-law felt like she had finally gained the upper hand. She was dressed in a tender pink evening gown, with her makeup looking exaggerated. Anna was sitting beside me, almost praising her to the skies. I rolled my eyes, realizing Anna's talent for telling white lies. The elite have their own circles of influence, and socialites have their own stages for entertainment. In the past, my grandmother used to take me to meet potential business partners, showing me how to discern the preferences of the elite and facilitate effective social interactions for my husband. She praised my abilities, saying that high-class women a generation older than me liked my straightforwardness and thoughtfulness. Unlike my irresponsible mother-in-law, who came from a humble background and was easily deceived. After being in the Getty family for decades, she only had one thing on her mind: trying to outdo others. I took the initiative to greet my mother-in-law. My grandmother came from a prestigious family and believed that family dignity was crucial, especially in public settings. However, my mother-in-law didn't appreciate it and publicly rebuked me, saying, "Kristen, you finally show some promise. Running away from home, causing a divorce, and still have the nerve to show up in front of me." Anna patted her back to calm her down, playing the role of a dutiful daughter-in-law. The gazes of the socialites were filled with disdain as they looked at me. "Even my mother-in-law doesn't support you, you'll be kicked out of the Getty family sooner or later." They were like canaries chirping, being polite only in words. In reality, they were just tools for men to vent their frustrations. Jenny linked arms with Anna and smiled, saying, "Don't mind the unimportant people. Anna is back this time to guide us in investing and making big money. She's so outstanding." I remained calm, listening quietly. The banquet began. Harry Rohn, the president of the Gathering of Beauties, took the stage and announced the start of the charity auction. Among the items was the emerald necklace left by my grandmother. My mother-in-law stared at me, eyes wide with astonishment. "Kristen, did you bring this? How dare you meddle with Getty family's belongings?" I smiled faintly, saying, "It was grandmother's wish. If you don't believe me, go back and check the will. During her lifetime, she used to give you a monthly allowance according to your salary. She couldn't bear to spend money lavishly, so jealousy made you swipe William's card." The sound of bidding filled the air, reaching a crescendo. The event reached its climax. Harry Rohn invited me on stage, saying, "Kristen, you used to come with your grandmother, but now you're standing on your own. I heard you released a song recently. Could you sing one live for us to auction off?" I was surprised. "Rohn, how did you know?" Andy called me Auntie. "Ah." It turns out that the Dragon King temple was flooded. I walked up to the stage, holding out my dress. The lights dimmed, leaving only the twinkling stars on the stage. I steadied my mind and began to sing. As my gaze swept across, some were astonished, some sneered lightly. But regardless of their reactions, they all understood, the Garden of Flowers was not a place where just anyone could come. And certainly not everyone had the right to take the stage. Uncle Tang pointed at me, his face full of pride, whispering to the people around him. Grandma pounded her chest in anger, Jenny stomped her foot in rage. Anna looked at me meaningfully. Perhaps she didn't expect that I had this hidden side of me. Even more unexpected was Harry Rohm's gratitude towards his grandmother, for making a grand gesture to boost my reputation, making me feel at ease in the circle of socialites. As the song ended, the auction began. It was supposed to be a cheerful little song, with donations at will. But unexpectedly, someone bid $10 million. Upon hearing that familiar yet slightly tired voice, my throat felt sore. William. How did he come back? All eyes turned to the face of a man in a suit, tall and with a deep and serious expression. Those who knew him were curious, how could the decisive William of the business world appear in such a setting? Those who didn't know him were excited. When did Washington produce such a young, noble, and handsome CEO? "Kristen, I'm back." William walked over, took my hand, and held it tightly. Harry Rohn smiled gently. "The Getty's family is generous. On behalf of the children in the mountainous areas, thank you both." William politely smiled. "It's all thanks to my wife. She has always been kind-hearted. Please take care of her, Harry Rohn, in the future." This was the first time William accompanied me to a banquet. The ridiculed socialites were stunned. Weren't the two of them in a business marriage? How could someone be willing to spend $10 million to listen to a wife they had no feelings for? Ridiculous, who spread the rumor that William and Anna were a couple. From the moment they entered until now, the CEO's gaze had been fixed on Kristen. As the evening banquet came to a close, Anna raised a glass of red wine and walked gracefully towards William, asking, "William, why did you come back so suddenly?" William pursed his thin lips, his eyes cold and distant. "Miss Anna, I think you have an obligation to explain why the rose starry sky necklace that I bid for appeared on you, and was coincidentally seen by my wife." His tone was cold, but holding my hand felt warm. A rose sky necklace? Wasn't William buying it for Anna? Mother-in-law rushed over to defuse the situation. "William, I thought you bought it for Anna." William's eyes were filled with undisguised anger. I remember clearly that I said to give it to Kristen when I had it sent back. Mother-in-law was completely speechless. During those few days when I wasn't at the villa, she was eagerly waiting for Anna to come in. And when Anna visited and casually mentioned it, she just handed it to her. At that time, she didn't even know how expensive this necklace was. Anna, with red eyes, said, "William, it was my misunderstanding. I will personally return it to the Geddes family another day." "But did you not see the photos I sent to your email?" "What photos?" I was confused. Kristen might flirt with questionable men, not as innocent as you think. I was furious. "Anna, how can you take advantage and act innocent? My husband threw a yacht reception for you, isn't that enough? Are you also trying to discredit me?" Anna ignored me and continued to persuade William, "When you were in high school, your best friend betrayed you, and you cut ties with him forever. You have never been clear-headed. You shouldn't keep a woman who spends money recklessly around. She could easily become a ticking time bomb." William's voice turned icy cold. "Anna, don't play too many tricks. My tolerance has limits." Anna's face turned pale. Mother-in-law awkwardly stepped back, seeming to distance herself from Anna. William took my hand and turned away. On the way back to the villa, William held his arm and closed his eyes for a little rest. The lamplight passing through the car window reflected on his handsome profile, making him look very tired. I felt a pang in my heart. And some regret. How come just a mere $1 million could lure me back home? Also, William said the rose sky necklace wasn't for Anna. Could it be for me? In my moment of self-indulgence, a pair of large hands grabbed my waist tightly. What was I thinking? Even his brows furrowed in worry. I was scared. The baby was still in my belly. Seeing me push away, William's deep eyes dimmed a bit. "What's wrong? What about those photos Anna mentioned?" William seemed indifferent. Seeing my tense expression, he still picked up his phone, logged into his email. There were many photos of me with different men. I sang with someone in the bar. Richard helped me at the hospital. I was approached by a young man Caitlin introduced me to at the mall. Anna is having someone follow me? Why? To find evidence of my fickle nature. She knows I despise betrayal and wants to throw you off balance. My eyes widened like a little rabbit's. Suddenly remembering something, I rummaged through my bag. Sure enough, I found a card. I almost dropped it in shock. On it was a man's provocative photo, half hidden, muscles bulging. The back had a phone number and some suggestive words: "Miss, love at first sight, looking forward to another night of passion." I was so angry, my face flushed with rage, wishing I could drag Caitlin out and give her a good beating. William rubbed my head. "Fool. Haven't you noticed anything strange about Caitlin? I remember, she started showing up around you frequently under the guise of comfort after your grandmother's funeral." His voice was calm, without a hint of blame. "Did he trust me not to stray?" William patiently explained. "These days, he's been incredibly busy." I started to feel uneasy. Something didn't seem quite right. But William was abroad, his core team overwhelmed with work. It wasn't until the business matters were settled that he had time to investigate. The source of the conflict pointed to Anna. She's always been skilled in maneuvering through relationships. After being abroad for a few years, she stayed in touch with people in Washington. All to uphold the image of a wealthy heiress. In high school, William and Anna were classmates. Both excelled academically, the pride of their peers. They were pushed together into a relationship. But at that time, William's father made a bad decision, putting the family business at risk. Anna's family was in real estate and thriving. Anna wouldn't want to be with William then. But she understood the ebb and flow of fortune. She maintained friendly connections with everyone, including his mother and Caitlin. Eventually, Anna's family moved their business to Europe, but it didn't go well. Not wanting to slip down the social ladder, Anna decided to use her past connections to return to Washington. At that point, Geddes family, after hitting rock bottom, thanks to William, became the new elite of Washington again. Anna wanted to rekindle the old friendship. So she sent gifts to his mother, kept her happy with messages. Learning that William married someone of no utility like me, she got ideas. Anna was adept at manipulating people. She knew human nature too well. Not only did she bribe Caitlin to make me feel insecure in my marriage, she also had a backup plan. The photos in the study were ones she sent to his mother. The roses in the garden were her cue for his mother to change them. The night at the harbor, while William was discussing business at a nearby hotel, she orchestrated everything, using Caitlin to push Kristen into leaving. Just didn't expect William, who's always been indifferent to romance, to unravel everything for me. I'm such a fool. Betrayed by the plastic flower sisters. Seeing me downcast, William quietly looked at my face. Kristen, I'm sorry, I didn't protect you well. He rarely speaks softly. Suddenly, my nose felt sour. I turned my face away in a delicate manner. I didn't want him to see my weak tears. William embraced me. When you married me, I was restructuring the company's business and exploring new markets, too busy to spare. Grandma said my mind was all on work, easy to be left without a wife. But I couldn't help it, the mess left by my father was too big. There's more than one uncle and brother in the company wanting power. Without absolute strength, I would be tied up, unable to do more. I'm glad I married you early, so that Grandma wouldn't be alone in her final days. My mom has never been clear-headed. My dad made many wrong investments, all influenced by her instigation. But she married into the Geddes family when it was at its lowest point, so Grandma loves and hates her, saying it's fortunate that I'm like Grandpa. I chuckled. Grandma did say that. Thankfully grandson is not as useless as his father, otherwise the family fortune would have been squandered. William's fingers gently twirled my hair. When I mentioned divorce, I thought you were throwing a tantrum, not knowing Anna was doing so many things behind the scenes. I should have explained in time, it was my fault, I shouldn't have been harsh with you. I hugged William back. A bit disbelief that my husband pays so much attention to my emotions. After all, I've always felt like I was running a one-way street. Back at the villa. The Rose Princess, which was dug up from the garden, returned. William hugged me from behind. I've asked Mom to move back to the old house, we'll live separately from now on. You're the mistress of the villa, you can plant whatever you like, no one will ruin it. Walking into the grand hall, a wall of gift boxes almost shocked me. He kissed my earlobe. Didn't you complain that I didn't spend your birthday and anniversary with you? Let's make up for the past, and I won't miss any more celebrations in the future. Really? William pinched my nose. His rare smile, all my shadow, indulgent and affectionate. I was so happy I didn't know what to say. The man in front of me picked me up from the waist. Kristen, after everything I've done, can I get some rewards? My heart beat violently. Before I could refuse, William carried me steadily to the bathroom. Let's take a bath. I reached out with delicate hands, unbuttoning his shirt for him. He really enjoyed my initiative, his expression filled with infatuation. As I coaxed him into the bathtub, I giggled mischievously on the side. Mister, I can't bathe with you today, why not? William was puzzled. I gently touched the still flat abdomen, feeling somewhat anxious as I asked, I'm pregnant, do you want to be a father? William stood up abruptly, splashing water everywhere. I covered my eyes half in shock and said, You're being naughty. Known as the abstinent CEO to the public, he decided to be naughty for once and pulled me into the water. I nestled in his warm embrace and kissed his Adam's apple. William kissed my lips and asked, Did you go see Richard for the baby? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? You said you didn't want me to have a child, remember? When was this? At that time, we had only been married for 3 months, and your uncle asked me to expand the Geddes family, but you refused. William remembered. That year, Kristen had just graduated and was not in the best fertility age. Grandma also wanted a grandchild soon, but she knew her grandson was busy and his wife wasn't up to the task. So, she let Kristen first enter the high society circle so she wouldn't be tied down too early by children. The following year, Grandma had a fall and soon passed away. I was very touched. Grandma really loved me as her own granddaughter. William kissed away my tears, soothingly saying, Don't cry, don't cry. Grandma will pick a good baby for us from heaven. During my pregnancy, William was extremely domineering. He wouldn't let me go out casually, afraid that I would be fooled by unscrupulous people again. Do I look that silly? Caitlin called to plead, Kristen, I'm sorry, but my father's company is innocent. Please ask William to show mercy, or our family will go bankrupt. I was eating the bird's nest stewed by Auntie, speaking in a cold tone. Have you thought about what would happen if, by any chance, I fell into your trap and slept with some young man? What would be the outcome then? William investigated and found out that you and Anna wanted to force me to lose my virginity and abandon me. But during that time, I often hung out with Andy, so you didn't get a chance. Caitlin's tone was full of despair. She wanted to vent her anger on Anna, but couldn't find her. Of course, this time Anna returned to Hong Kong. Besides trapping a wealthy husband, she also wanted to make a fortune to fill Anna family's bottomless pit. She enticed people in the circle to invest abroad, offering huge profits. Caitlin and Jenny's families invested a lot, but Anna's scheme didn't last long, as the person William sent for a thorough investigation blew the whistle. She transferred the money overseas before the person managed to escape and was caught in the net. Due to the large amount of money involved in the fundraising fraud, she might face up to 20 years of imprisonment. Her mother-in-law was frightened. In case she invited trouble, if William fell for Anna's trap, the Geddes family would be completely ruined. Since then, she saw that I had become more reserved and even bought pure cotton clothes for the baby to show goodwill. I maintained a respectful distance from her. Mutual respect probably meant the best relationship between a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law. When I was 4 months pregnant, William finally allowed me to go out. Andy was excited and said there was a song that suited me perfectly. I planned to donate all the income from this song under the guise of charity. Perhaps due to excessive practice, when William came to pick me up, my complexion wasn't great. Worried, he insisted on taking me to the hospital. No need to make a fuss, I was fine. Besides, at this time, going to Geddes family's hospital would be congested. Without saying a word, William took me to Richard's private hospital nearby. I found it unbelievable. How did you know about this place? Richard was also surprised when he saw us together. But as a professional, he quickly had the head nurse check me and confirmed that everything was fine. However, I felt there was invisible gun smoke between the two men. Before leaving, Richard whispered to me, "Your husband cares about you a lot and asked a lot of questions about the baby." But he seemed a bit hostile towards me, perhaps jealous. How is that possible? William wouldn't create an imaginary enemy just because of some ambiguous photos taken for Anna. That night, William cooked personally and fed me until I was full. When we got into bed, he applied safe body lotion on my belly. But as he touched me, his hands and feet became restless. Struggling with all my might, I still couldn't escape the man's tender and meticulous kisses. In the heat of the moment, William's warm breath brushed against my earlobe as he whispered, "I asked your brother, Richard, and he said you and the baby are both doing well. We can sleep together now." My face flushed all the way to the base of my neck. How can you ask such a thing? How will I face people in the future? William chuckled softly. He gently embraced me until we were both covered in a sheen of sweat. Late at night, he carried me to the bathroom to take a shower, making sure to rub me with rose-scented oil. My circadian rhythm was disrupted. Unable to sleep, I snuggled up to his neck and coquettishly said, "Our baby is about to be born, and you still haven't said you love me." William was a reserved man who never openly expressed his love for anyone. But in that moment, with his clear and profound face buried in my hair, he tenderly said, "Darling, I love you." I nestled into William's arms. Happily, I pecked his lips once, twice, and said playfully, "I still can't fall asleep. Tell me a story." William had a good memory. He casually recalled a passage from my favorite book, The Little Prince, "My Rose, I am responsible for her. And yet she's so fragile, so naive. She has only 4 thorns to protect herself, to defend herself against the world. Perhaps there are 5,000 red roses in the world, but you are my unique rose." With a smile, I drifted off to sleep. In my dream, William was holding a little boy who bore a striking resemblance to him, walking towards me with determination. I knew that it was a gift chosen for me by Grandma in heaven, called the love of a lifetime. Extra scene: the first time William heard the name Kristen was when he was 13 years old. His grandmother and Kristen's grandmother were best friends. Unfortunately, both sisters ended up with a piece of barbecue pork on their plates. William's father was not good at studying or working, always focused on pleasure. Kristen's father was even more rebellious, chasing after his so-called musical dream to Italy, leaving for over a decade. When Kristen came to Washington at the age of 10, her grandmother was critically ill and entrusted her granddaughter, who had just been brought back, to her youngest son to raise, never quite at ease. Grandma has seen it. That girl is very thin, very timid, but extremely beautiful. She can't speak American English and is often teased by classmates. When feeling wronged, she would run to the garden and cry in front of the roses. Grandma couldn't bear it. Not sure what promise was made to the Hiltons family, the clever second young master of the Hiltons family promised to treat Kristen well. Grandma still worried. Kristen had very few female friends because she was too beautiful. Boys either bullied her or eagerly wrote love letters to her. The boy next door took the initiative to become her flower protector. However, the Hiltons family's upbringing was strict. They required her to return home on time, check her school bag every day to see if there were gifts from boys. She knew she had no strong support, so she worked hard to integrate into a circle that didn't originally belong to her. She learned foreign languages, etiquette, and social skills. In her sophomore year, when William returned to take over the family business, he was invited to the school anniversary celebration. On stage, the girl's face was bright, wearing a red gown, singing like a blooming red rose. Her husky voice was unique, stunning the whole audience. The boys revealed expressions of wanting to pursue her. The girls whispered, scolding her for dressing so provocatively, not knowing who she was trying to seduce. Kristen burst into tears as soon as she stepped off the stage. William felt the desire to protect the delicate flower. He even felt a bit jealous when he hurried to comfort her with Richard. But he was too busy. A young CEO, with his own battlefield to attend to, until the girl graduated from college. Grandma asked William if he wanted to marry the daughter-in-law he had always liked. He agreed without hesitation. After marriage, Grandma, wearing her reading glasses, seriously taught Kristen, "Where a man's money is, there his heart will be. Your mother-in-law can't tie down a man's heart, so she takes her grievances out on us." Kristen's face was surprised but embarrassed to scold her mother-in-law together. She just chuckled and gave Grandma a back rub. William smiled, letting her use the black card freely. Until he realized that the small fortune couldn't bring complete security to his wife, he learned to comfort his girl. Before turning off the light, Kristen fell asleep peacefully. William leaned over to kiss her red lips, as if gently nurturing a rose. A unique rose.